Welcome back to the CryptoWorld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, both Bitcoin and Ethereum are testing extremely important support levels. So later in this video, I'll be talking about what could happen if the price breaks those important levels, and also we have new patterns forming right now for Bitcoin, which I'll be talking about in just a moment, so definitely stick around. First of all, just giving you a quick update on what the US stock market did today. This right here is the Nasdaq 100 index on the daily time frame, and as you can see, today we've seen a bit of a pullback in the tech stocks. And this recent pullback within the last 2 trading days in the stock markets has mostly been to do with the tech companies reporting their earnings for the quarter. And I won't be going too deep into all of that because this isn't exactly a stock channel, but basically due to the current economic conditions, companies are obviously having a hard time at making a lot of profits. We've already seen over the last couple months that a lot of big tech companies and crypto companies especially as well are either slowing down their hiring or straight up letting people go, which basically means the growth of those companies are essentially slowing down. And obviously all of that makes sense in a recession, which is essentially a period of contraction in the economy, but more specifically, a recession is technically defined as 2 back-to-back quarters, so 2 consecutive quarters of negative GDP. And the Q1 2022 GDP numbers, so the first quarter of this year, was a negative quarter for GDP. So all we're waiting on now to technically confirm a recession is for the Q2 numbers to officially be released. And based off expectations from sources such as the Atlanta Fed, the latest estimate for what happened to GDP in the US throughout the second quarter of this year is a decline of 1.6%, which would mean a technical recession. But interestingly enough, just before these estimated numbers become official, which makes the recession official, we're now seeing some politicians try to change the definition of a recession so that even if this GDP number for Q2 comes out negative, which confirms that the US GDP has essentially been declining all year long, even in that case, under a new definition, there would still be no recession. But anyway, that's a topic for another video, and something else that is really important that is happening very soon is another Fed meeting happening in less than 2 days from now. And I'll talk more about this in tomorrow's video, so make sure you're subscribed with notifications turned on so that you don't miss that video. And now getting into the crypto part of this video, this right here is the daily Bitcoin chart. And as you can see right now, the Bitcoin price at the time of recording this video is currently retesting this previous line of horizontal resistance. And this price level that I'm talking about is coming into play at around $22,000 per Bitcoin. But as of right now, at the time of recording this video, we're still in this retest phase. We have not confirmed a bounce. So due to the lack in confirmation at the moment, obviously there's still that possibility we could see a candle close below 22K. And the moment we see a signal like that, if we see a break back below 22K, then immediately that is a short-term bearish signal, similar to what we saw in early April, where we could actually drop down to the lower side of that sideways price range again, which is currently coming into play at around $19,000 per Bitcoin. That would be possible if we confirm a break below 22K. And then in that potential scenario, of course, all the focus then would be shifted to that $19,000 level approximately, because if we break below that level, then that would be an even larger bearish signal on this time frame, like what we saw around the middle to end of April. But for now, the daily Bitcoin RSI is still in an uptrend. This has not been broken as of right now, which is a good sign to see, because looking at these previous significant legs to the downside in the Bitcoin price, those also happened just after the RSI actually broke its uptrend and started forming some lower highs and lower lows. But if you're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at just the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, we have already seen for a few days now those shorter term bearish signals in the RSI and the MACD. In fact, if you've been keeping up to date with my recent videos here on the channel, you'll know that for the past 3 to 4 days or so, I've been talking about how we're starting to see more bearish signals in the shorter term for Bitcoin and also for Ethereum. And I've been mentioning in my recent videos ever since around this area right here that the risk to reward ratio at the moment in the short term is somewhat elevated, which essentially means the risk to the downside in the shorter term is higher than the potential room left to the upside. But with that being said, if you're measuring the amount of time Bitcoin spent in these short-term downtrends just on the 4-hour Bitcoin charts, this short-term downtrend that we saw around a month ago lasted for around 4 to 5 days before we began to bottom out and head into the next short-term uptrend. And if you look at this short-term downtrend in the Bitcoin price that we saw roughly around 2 weeks ago, that lasted for around 5 days before then we began bottoming out and heading into another short-term uptrend. And if you're measuring from the local high to where we're sitting at right now, it's been pretty much exactly 5 days in this short-term downtrend so far. So based on the amount of time spent participants in this pullback that is obviously extremely similar to these previous pullbacks so far. But of course, we also need to look at other indicators such as the RSI, for example, and this 4-hour Bitcoin RSI is still currently in a downtrend at the time of recording this video. We're seeing lower highs and lower lows. So until the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI perhaps reaches oversold territories or begins forming higher lows and higher highs, I'll still continue to lean slightly more bearish than bullish in this shorter term price action here, because obviously if you're looking at the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI in these previous short-term bullish reversals, in both of those short-term Bitcoin bottoms, the 4-hour Bitcoin RSI did enter into oversold territories, and then we saw a reversal in the actual trend of the RSI. And not only that, but at these previous short-term bullish reversals, at the time of the reversal, we also confirmed a bullish cross in the 4-hour Bitcoin MACD, as you can see. And once again, as of right now, we have not confirmed those short-term bullish signals, at least just yet. And considering the fact that the Bitcoin price is also still sitting below that 5-day simple moving average, this all adds up to be more bearish than bullish on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart as of right now, and as I have been saying for a few days now. But with that being said, even though right now on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, yes, we're still currently looking more bearish than bullish, while Bitcoin is playing out that bearish price action, the RSI is approaching oversold territory. So as we get closer towards oversold territories, we could be getting closer to some sort of local bottom. But right now, that simply isn't the case. But what is also happening at the moment is a potential falling wedge pattern forming on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart. And technically speaking, this is a bullish pattern, but obviously we have not broken resistance just yet, which means while the Bitcoin price is forming this pattern, obviously this is pointing in the bearish direction. But then if we break this line of resistance, which is currently coming into play at around 22.4K, if we break that line of resistance and more importantly break this previous high, which is coming into play close to $23,000 per Bitcoin, if we break this resistance, then that gives us a bullish price target, which is essentially towards this local top just here, just above 24,000. So once again, as of right now on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, we're still looking more bearish than bullish until we start to see some of those bullish signals like a break above resistance, or perhaps the RSI entering into oversold territories, or a bullish cross in the MACD. All of these signals that I'm mentioning would be, of course, bullish signals that would point towards a reversal, but right now we're not currently seeing those signals. And now getting into the Ethereum part of this video, this right here is the daily Ethereum chart, and obviously we still have that strong line of resistance at around $1,700, which we have recently seen multiple rejections in the Ethereum price from just underneath that significant level of resistance. And at the same time as the Ethereum price running into heavy resistance, we also saw the daily Ethereum RSI approach overbought territories. So due to these reasons, especially over the past 1 week or so, Ethereum has been very much due to see a bit of a short-term cool-off. To help cool off this daily Ethereum RSI back down towards neutral levels, and while that is happening, we can play out some bearish price action. But for as long as the daily Ethereum RSI still remains in a larger uptrend here, forming higher lows and higher highs, then technically speaking, that is still good news for the price of Ethereum, like what we saw in the first quarter of this year. But the moment we start breaking that uptrend in the daily RSI and start forming some lower lows and lower highs, so essentially forming a bearish trend in the RSI, then that there is obviously a bearish indication for the price of Ethereum. So with that being said, there is still hope here for Ethereum if the daily RSI remains in an uptrend. It's just the immediate short term could get a little bit choppy and a little bit bearish while we're seeing that short term cool off. And we can see this even more clearly on the 12-hour Ethereum chart. As I mentioned yesterday, we're seeing a bearish divergence on this chart right here, which typically means the bulls are losing momentum and the bears are regaining control over the markets. And at the same time, if you're looking at the histogram within the 12-hour Ethereum MACD indicator, we were seeing reduced bullish momentum flipping towards bearish momentum. And in fact, right now we have confirmed a bearish cross in the 12-hour Ethereum MACD as of recording this video, while the 12-hour Ethereum RSI is currently in a shorter term downtrend. And if you zoom into the shorter term, taking a look at the 4-hour Ethereum chart right now as of recording this video, you can see that the price of Ethereum is testing this horizontal level of support that I've been talking about over the past few days, and this level is currently coming into play at around 1470 to 1480. And if the price of Ethereum confirms a break below that level with something like a 4-hour candle close, for example, then obviously that would be another short-term bearish signal for the price of Ethereum. And in that case, a confirmed break below this level could potentially send Ethereum down towards around $1,300, where we do have significant support based on previous significant resistance. And on top of that, we do have a potential head and shoulders pattern here on the 4-hour Ethereum chart, which isn't a perfect pattern because this wick, for example, to the right is slightly higher than the head, and technically speaking, that should not happen in a head and shoulders pattern. So once again, it's not really a perfect head and shoulders pattern. But if you want to know the technical price target for that head and shoulders pattern anyway, then that will be coming into play at around 1,320 to 1,330, so just above 1.3k. And once again, just like what I said on the 4-hour Bitcoin chart, the 4-hour Ethereum RSI is still currently in a short-term downtrend, forming lower highs and lower lows, and technically speaking, that is a bearish indication for the short-term trend. And on top of that, the 4-hour Ethereum MACD is currently trending bearish, with the histogram sitting in the red at the time of recording this video. And personally, after already flipping a little bit more bearish in the short term for Bitcoin and Ethereum over the past few days, I personally wouldn't flip bullish again in the short term until we start to see some short-term bullish signals like the RSI entering into oversold territories or beginning to form higher lows and higher highs, or if we potentially see a bullish cross in the 4-hour Ethereum MACD with some stronger bullish momentum coming into play, or simply the price itself seeing a strong bounce from a level of support. But obviously, if we break this 1470 to 1480 support level, then that there would be the opposite of a bullish signal. And if you want to take advantage of all of these moves in the market, whether the price is going up, down, or chopping around sideways, then check out one of these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can make money if the price is going either up or down, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can make money in a choppy sideways price range. But anyway, that's everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you all in the next video.